Way back in my college days, Dr. Slack was my political science professor. He had a unique way of giving tests. We were allowed to use our notes, which was always nice for a very mediocre student like myself. Anyhow, with notes in hand, he would pass out a small blank notebook and tell us to open it up, and we had 1 hour to write down whatever it was we had learned that semester. Dr. Slack would grade the tests by going through the book, and every time you wrote something worth a crap, as he so eloquently would put it, you would receive a red check. It actually wasn't even a check. It was more like a tick that he would scribe next to the written little nugget that we put down. On the rare occasion where you wrote something extra compelling, you could earn the elusive double tick. Nice. He would read everything you wrote, count up the number of ticks that he scored, and that was your score on the test and your grade in the course. If you had 95 ticks, you got a 95% on the test. If you had 65 ticks, probably what I had, you guessed it, 65%, not so good. A lot of us learned that writing pages and pages of stuff that really didn't add value simply didn't earn us any ticks. Often an entire page or two resulted in very few of these ticks. A lot of wasted thought and energy on our side, and afterwards, Dr. Slack would let you know that he wasn't a fan of being bored with having to read through our meaningless banter, the gobbledygook, he would call it. This was the first course, really the first time that I remember realizing how much we say, or write in this case, that adds very little value to the audience. After reading a lot of low-value material, the reader or the listener zones out and is not even focused on a good message any longer. Today, our audience has more distractions than ever before. You know this, and studies show that humans right now are on par with a goldfish with our attention spans. How flattering. So what can you do about this? When we're having client conversations, we want to be prepared to make Dr. Slack proud. Let's make sure that we keep their attention and focus on adding value. We're not going to do this with a company brochure. We're not going to do this talking about ourselves. We're going to earn ticks by educating them, reframing their mindsets around topics that are important to them. The number one problem that most sales professionals have when trying to be more insight-oriented is that they're not yet invested. They haven't invested the time to have the notes of compelling information about the insights into the industry that they're competing in. We're then forced to talk about our products and solutions and are inadvertently asking our client to listen through the gobbledygook because we don't really have double tick worthy information or insight to share. The attention span of your buyer will not allow this to work. The result is that we have to get a no, or worse yet, we get the, hey, I'll think about it and get back with you. If our conversations were graded, would we not be pleased with the outcome, or would we be pleased with the outcome? I see managers misdiagnose their sales professionals all the time. Often they'll say, hey, that sales professional, they're solid, but they can't close. It's not that they can't close well, it's that they just have a lot of gobbledygook, and there's nothing, no real opportunity to close or move forward with something anyhow. They've not really inspired the client with any insight or market intelligence that matters. Oh, you told them about your latest and greatest product. Yeah, that alone will do it, right? No, wrong. Don't lead by pitching your product. Show them that you know your space, their space. Get them to buy into the fact that you're better at diagnosing problems and opportunities than they are. You just have more experience. They, in their position, have to wear so many different hats. They're pulled in so many different directions with so many different responsibilities. But you got this. You solve these problems for people just like them every day. It's your job. It's your career. Inspiring with insight requires more pre-work, more studying and research than you've most likely ever done in your sales career. It may even seem like college again. The best students would spend 2 hours of studying for every 1 hour of class time. Well, today, just because 99% of other salespeople don't do this, doesn't mean you shouldn't adopt an attitude of becoming an expert, the expert in your industry. Ongoing learning is something that we talk a lot about here at New Velocity. It's something that Dr. Stephen Covey also lists as his habit number 7 in what makes us successful. I invite you to double down your efforts and be sure that you know more about your industry than anyone else. Don't think you'll just find time for this. Block your schedule and complete the exercises in this course. Make the time for becoming the inside expert in your field. The outcome of this effort and this entire course is that your clients will be making mental ticks every time you speak. You'll get rewarded with 100% of their business, which is more rewarding than any 100 you ever got on a test back in the college days. Not that I would know what 100 looked like. But hey, Neil Rackham, maybe you know Neil Rackham. Neil Rackham is credited for a cool quote. The client would pay for the conversation itself. That's what happens when you learn to be consultative in nature and focus on your client's issues and not just your solutions. Learning to monetize your message is critical because this is the #1 opportunity to build client loyalty. #1. You work so hard to have high-level meetings. Don't waste these great opportunities. Take your game to the next level by becoming the professor in your client's eyes and let your competitors sound like politicians. Be sure to complete the exercise in your workbook or the PDF that you were asked to print at the beginning of this chapter. That exercise is something you need to do in addition to the next chapter test. Good luck.